Today I'm going to decorate a 3-layered chocolate cake that I'm actually donating for Shirley's House of Hope, which is a fundraiser for women who suffer from domestic violence. It's a domestic violence type shelter. So I've got the 3 layers made, and I'm going to make our favorite family chocolate fudge frosting. And our kids, you know, generally for their birthdays they want just a yellow box cake, but we do sometimes do, you know, cakes from scratch. But they like the, you know, the fudge frosting on there. So this is what I'm going to do for Shirley's House of Hope. So I'm going to start. I've got 4 cups of powdered sugar and about a cup of cocoa. And I like to sift the powdered sugar and the cocoa together again to get out the lumps. And it just makes it a little bit nicer to work with. I'm just going to put that much cocoa in for now. And I'm using my mixer, and I'm putting it in the smaller bowl. There's the larger bowl and the smaller bowl, and when I do just one recipe of frosting, I use the smaller mixer. Finish putting in all of the powdered sugar, and this probably makes about 3 to 4 cups of frosting. Put in the rest of the cocoa, and I've found that it really does just come out a lot nicer when you get all of the cocoa lumps out before you start using the beaters. Knock it a little bit to get the rest of the lumps out. Okay. And what I also like to do is I use half and half when I make my frostings. And it just gives it a lot richer texture, I think, than just using a skim milk. But it's really your preference. You could also use evaporated milk in it if you want to. But I start out by putting some half and half in and stir it around a little bit, because this does get kind of messy when you're beating it, and you're going to have your powdered sugar and cocoa flying all over. So just to get a little bit of it soaked up with the cream. Okay, so to the 4 cups of powdered sugar and about a cup of cocoa, we're going to add 1 stick of butter, and that's 8 tablespoons of butter. And in my baking, I generally use butter. You know, some people will use margarine, which we used to use years ago, but not anymore. Anything you'll find in my house is going to be made with real butter. Okay, and as I've demonstrated and talked about before, when I make whipping cream, I use my mixer. And a little trick that I found, again, to avoid the splattering and the mess, is I'll take a paper towel and just cut the middle so that you have a hole like that. And then I insert, before inserting my beaters, I'll insert it with the piece of a paper towel like that. And then we're ready to start beating. And I'm going to add a little bit more cream. And we're just going to start mixing this, and we'll see how much we end up getting all over the table here. You can kind of just knock it down a little bit as you're mixing. Whoops, there it goes. Okay. I'm just going to add some more half and half here. As you can see, when you bake, you often do have some challenging things in front of you, and this is one of them. Okay, and then I just rip off the paper towel. And then you can see the big mess that I've created here. Okay, I'm going to do this speed it a little bit higher and stir it as I go. Get it to be just the right consistency. I add about a teaspoon of vanilla. Beat it again. I'm just raising them up a little bit to get more of the frosting off. You can take a little spatula to get all of your frosting off, which would help. If it seems to be a little bit too stiff, then you can add more half and half to it, but this looks like a nice consistency. Okay, as I said, it's going to be a 3-layer fudge cake. And when I frost, I made the cakes last night. And when I frost a cake, I like to put it on a Lazy Susan, so it's easy to frost when you can just turn it as you go. And between the layers, we're going to have a coconut pecan icing, which is what is normally used for the German chocolate cake. That would be between layers of your German chocolate cake. And I also like to use the coconut pecan frosting when with many cheesecakes. People really like that. It just gives the chocolate a nice flavor when you've got the coldness of the cheesecake, and then I even warm up the coconut pecan frosting on that. So you just put a generous amount on your 2 layers. And this I also made ahead. I made this actually this morning. And you can make your coconut pecan frosting ahead, and I've actually even frozen it. If I had some events going on and then I had too much that I had left over, I froze it and then just again take it out and thaw it in the refrigerator until you're ready to use it, and it's all set to go. And this is a recipe. It's actually a fudgy chocolate cake recipe that I use. Okay, and with the other cakes, what I do is I'll put the first cake, it's going to be just, given on my little gold paper form. And then the other cakes I'll put on some kind of a plate that I line with wax paper. So then it's easy to get your cake off, and just tip it like this. And then you can just peel off the wax paper. And then another layer of the coconut pecan frosting. I have a lot of opportunities to donate to various fundraisers, and I was fortunate. I was asked to donate a cake to the Ronald McDonald Sweet Affair event, which was on October 16th, I believe. And I've never attended that event, but I actually have attended Shirley's House of Hope. It's an Iron Chef event, and I think it was the second year that they hosted it. They asked me if I would like to be one of the judges. So that was a fun experience, watching the various chefs from around town that have either owned their own restaurant or they're the head chef at various restaurants in town. So that was a fun event. And I guess what we like is to be able to donate to these various fundraisers, because they're all for such good causes, and the people of Marshfield really support these events, which I think is really phenomenal. In October, of course, that was Domestic Violence Month, and there's several fundraisers in that month as well. So I guess it's really great that there are so many people in this community that are willing to kind of spread themselves and support all of these very worthwhile causes. Okay, and now we are ready for the top layer. And I didn't put it all the way to the edge just because it might kind of, seep out a little bit as we're putting the icing on it. And when I frost, I have my favorite spreader that I like to use, but depending on what you might like. This is a Pampered Chef spreader, which I like, and these are my Cutco. This is a Cutco spreader, and I actually like my Pampered Chef one the best. And ordinarily I'll just take a spoon or a spatula and just put a generous amount on top. And what I actually like to do is I might put it on top, but then work it down. Otherwise, if you have this big amount that you start in the middle, it's going to could end up falling on your cake, on the bottom of your cake plate. So that's why I kind of start at the top. My kids have always grown up with homemade fudge frosting. I know a lot of people will use, the canned frosting, and I have never done that. And they oftentimes will ask me, to make a cake. As I think, shared before, Michael's one of his favorite desserts is cake, so he enjoys extra cakes or cupcakes that I have left over. Or sometimes if I've made a mistake on a cake and it didn't turn out as I wanted it to, then he's always willing to take back the mistakes. So I try never to let anything go to waste if I can recycle or reuse it in some fashion. We're almost done here. And there's lots of ways of finishing off your cake, whether you have big swirls or you can, a lot of cakes, wedding cakes and other cakes, they'll be a flat, side as you're going around. The whole side is just going to be flat. Sometimes I'll just do kind of like a vertical little pattern to it. When I did help Megan with her wedding cake, a popular pattern is almost like this rough, roughness, almost like a cement kind of a look that you would, take something to get this wavy, kind of look. So there's nothing really magical about frosting it, just however, you choose to do it and whatever look that you like. I don't think you can ever have enough fudge frosting. And it's just a really smooth, creamy recipe, and you can usually just, kind of decide if you want to put in a little bit more cocoa to make it, to have an even more fudgy, taste. You can do that. I don't really use, it's not any particular recipe that I use. I just add what I've kind of become accustomed to adding that is a good texture and flavor for what we like. I've never actually taken any classes in decorating, which is something I would like to do, because I think it's kind of fun and interesting when you see some of the creations that people have for weddings and just other showers and other events. So that's one of my goals in the future. I'm not sure when that's going to be, but sometime. Just going to finish it like that. And we are done. So I hope tomorrow night, when Shirley's House of Hope Iron Chef event is over, I hope that my little contribution to their silent auction, brings in a nice amount of money for them, and I hope that the community comes out and really supports this great cause. So from A Slice of Heaven, I hope that you enjoyed this segment, and happy baking.